Hello, welcome to our primer on starting right in high tunnel production. Throughout the primer, we include tips on the process of starting high tunnel production, beginning with evaluating if it is truly your best option, through installing your first high tunnel, if that is what you choose to do. We emphasize starting right because doing that helps you succeed in the short and long term. As we take up the basic and very important question of whether high tunnel production is truly your best option, we offer 5 reality checks. Think of them as issues to consider before committing to high tunnel production. In this video, we highlight reality check number 3. However, before we get to that, let's recap reality check number 2. In reality check number 2, we acknowledged that because many high tunnels are stationary, using them properly requires users to take one of 2 very significant steps. The first step is to develop and adhere to a reliable plan for maintaining the health and productivity of their soil covered by the high tunnel. The alternative second step is to prepare to invest significantly in soilless rooting medium, which is essentially disposable soil. Both steps have pros and cons, and both steps require various types of commitment. Reality check number 3 is that conditions inside your high tunnel hinge on conditions outside them and your management. Wind, rain, snow and ice, cold and warm fronts, sunny and cloudy skies, these all influence the conditions immediately around your crops. Those conditions in turn influence your success. Therefore, the protection you provide must be done correctly, otherwise it will backfire significantly. This leads high tunnel production to require specific knowledge and timely effort you must be prepared to develop and give. If you have grown crops only under the open sky without a cover, you may be surprised how demanding managing crops in high tunnels can be. Since Mother Nature and you are responsible for conditions inside your high tunnel, you should expect to need to monitor and manage your high tunnel nearly continuously for long stretches of the year. That is, you should expect to monitor current and forecasted weather conditions and the status of your high tunnel and the environment inside it and the crops inside it as well. However, the job does not stop with monitoring, since of course you'll need to manage the high tunnel accordingly. Remember, you are taking the place of elaborate, mechanized, and computer-assisted systems, commonly completing the same tasks in climate-controlled greenhouses. Depending on your goals and situation, you will need to take on this role 24/7 without let up for many weeks each year. You or someone you trust will need to be available to assess the current and forecasted weather and to adjust the high tunnel doors, sidewalls, and vents accordingly, sometimes multiple times per day, morning, midday, afternoon, and evening, every day. Weekends, holidays, special days like birthdays, graduations, and anniversaries are included. Failing to complete these tasks could result in lower crop yield or quality, outright crop death, or worse. Along the way, you will need to answer many questions about the environment you look to maintain in your high tunnel. For example, will I shade my tunnel during the brightest, warmest months? Why or why not? How? When? And so on. If I do not shade the tunnel, what ventilation strategy will I employ to keep the warm season crops happy from overheating? What about fall and springtime, when the outside conditions change often and they vary between extremes in light and temperature levels and between dry and rainy? What conditions do my crops need, and how do I ensure they occur as often as possible? Will I be ready to close the tunnel to help prevent it from being flooded or my crops from being damaged by wind, then open it again soon after danger has passed to prevent overheating, such as during summertime storms? Will I be ready to remove snow or ice if that's needed, regardless of when that might be? What is my overall plan for fall, winter, and spring? Will I cover the crops inside the tunnel? Will I supply supplemental heat and/or light? Again, if yes, what are the details? If not, why not? If I cover the crops inside the tunnel, will I use standard low tunnels over individual rows, the so-called glove approach, which you see here, or will I use mid-tunnels, which are larger? Regardless, when do I open these secondary tunnels? Also, regardless of the shape and size of the secondary tunnels, will I cover them with vented film, with fabric, or both? Again, what is my secondary covering plan? When, for how long, during which portion of the cropping cycle, etc., are the covers to be in place? Furthermore, will I treat the areas inside my high tunnel exactly the same? Or will I have zones within the tunnel creating different microenvironments based on crop need? Can I accept the outcomes from a so-called middle-of-the-road approach that is not ideal for any of the crops I happen to have in the tunnel if more than one of them are present at the same time? All this points to the benefits of assessment, measurement, observation, and record keeping. For some, in farming and other walks of life, if it cannot be measured, it cannot be managed. Also, if it cannot be managed, there's only hoping. And finally, if it isn't written down, it did not happen. Observing and recording helps us learn and base decisions on data. Data, not necessarily in the scientific sense, but although those data can help, but information and insights from our own observations and experiences that guide us as we learn how to manage our high tunnel system. Clearly, we want to accomplish what we set out to and avoid worst-case scenarios by paying attention and being available. So, in summary, our third reality check when considering high tunnel production has three parts. First, conditions inside your high tunnel hinge on conditions outside them and your management. Second, protection you provide must be done correctly, otherwise it will backfire significantly. And finally, third, because of those two previous facts, successful high tunnel production requires specific knowledge and timely effort you must be prepared to develop and give. At minimum, be ready to change your plan at a moment's notice or to lose your high tunnel or crop because the tunnel was unattended. Thank you and good luck. Enjoy other videos in this series, and please do not hesitate to contact me if I may be of further service.